one, and as we set off on this lap, we're pulling away in second position. I just want to say from both Nigel and I, welcome to the Guitar Grand Prix!
Yeah!
That's much better, eh? Be sure to hold on to the rails as well as we go around here. We don't want to lose anybody. And if you have any hats or if you have any belongings, we won't be able to pick them up. So keep them on your head and stay and listen to us ramble a little bit about the circuit here in Qatar.
We always say if you have a hat on, please flip it into DRS open mode or flip it backwards. There's a little joke you can use that from now on. That's a trick of the trade there. But as we go now into turn one, braking around the 50-meter board from 320 kilometers an hour, going down from 8th to 5th, really just getting that initial really hard brake, and then coming off of it and just using that arrow, using that gear to slow down this car through turn one. Now it is quite a tight right-hander, even though it doesn't look it, because you're going so quickly into turn one.
Yeah, this is one of the one of the biggest overtaking opportunities on this circuit coming into turn one. As we come into it here, you'll see that there's about twice. There's a little bit of camber as well on the corner, which helps you make the corner, and it's there to help you. But now also on the outside of a lot of these corners, you're going to see little strips of gravel. Just to stop drivers. Last year we had big issues with track limits here. The curbs are very severe and very aggressive. But now, I mean, they've smoothed them out. They have some gravel in a lot of corners just to stop these track limits and stop these fines.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, if you're on the left side of the truck, you can see those physical track limits if you look beyond the curb in there. Those are what we call self-policing. And what that means is the stewards don't have to always be watching that track limits violation, watching for those cars. They know if their car has gone off because they're in the gravel on the exit. So that's something we like as a driver. It's not the best feeling in the world when you fire it off into the gravel along the outside, but it does make sure that drivers are well within those track limits. That being said, you do want to push the car, you want to get as close to that as possible, and sometimes you just run a little bit over.
Absolutely, this track is exceptionally fast as well. There's a lot of fast corners, a lot of full throttle corners, a lot of medium speed corners, and not so much. There's one or two slow corners. We're going to come up on one of the hairpins in a couple of corners. That's the slowest point in the circuit. But mostly, they're pushing hard, they're putting a lot of G throughout the corners, and they really want to use as much of the track as they can, but obviously keeping it within the millimeter of where they need to be.
Yeah, so just to give you an idea of the pace of a Formula One car, they're coming through this corner here into turn 4 and 5, this double right-hander. There's brake boards along the outside there that the drivers aren't even looking at. They're so far in the distance. All you need to know is one quick downshift, get the wheel in there and back on the throttle all the way 7th gear, hold it wide open. Now, it doesn't seem like much, but when you see how tight this corner actually is, going through here at around 260k, it's very impressive from these cars.
Yeah, I think that's one thing you don't really realize when you're watching on TV compared to being here in person. The speed that they actually take these corners at is immense. I mean, again, pulling 4 to 5G through the corners. The cars have so much grip. They have so much aero downforce. And yeah, these guys, I mean, they're proper athletes to be able to put up with this. I mean, last year there was a couple of issues because we were here in October, so it was very hot, and then those high-speed corners with all those G-forces, really a lot of drivers suffered here. I think Logan, your countryman, he had to pull out, right, due to fatigue, I guess. It would have been so hot here.
Yeah, it was so hot here last year, so it's a massive change of pace, and the performance difference from last weekend to this weekend shouldn't actually be much because it's very high speed, it's really windy, and there's sand on the circuit as well. So conditions from Las Vegas coming into this round in Lusail, not much different. So the cars won't have to undergo much setup change, I don't think. Just trying to set up for those long extended corners while carrying that super high rate of speed. Now, when you're coming now through turn 6, give Hansel a wave on the inside of the circuit there. He's got about 5K to go, so we'll see if he can get it done by the time we get back. But through turn 6 here, you're doing around 100 kilometers at the apex. Now, it's a really, really tight corner on this circuit, the slowest corner on the track. However, it's around 60 miles an hour. So when you're looking at a 60 mile an hour corner, and you probably even a bit quicker than that, as your slowest point on the circuit, you know it's a really fast track.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, it's a tight corner. Again, it's another good overtaking opportunity under the brakes. And then yeah, opens up into this faster section again. So last year there was a big surface issue here. There was problems with tires. This year again we're in different conditions now, different temperatures, different just a different overall experience, I think. So with it being a sprint weekend, we only have one practice session to really dial in the cars. So I'm really excited to see who's going to be on top. Whether it's going to be McLaren, Mercedes carrying form from last weekend, Ferrari are going to be there. Red Bull, I don't know if it's a track that's going to suit them, but I mean we have Max that can seem to drive anything. So yeah, I mean I just hope it's going to be a great racing weekend.
Max has been a really interesting story this year because historically, I mean, as the season has gone on, the performance has kind of dropped out of the car from what we've seen from the last couple of years from them, or from him, and especially at Red Bull. But he's still managed to be up there. You look at a guy like Lando Norris, who's had that championship car, and we all love Lando just as much as the next guy, but he's had that championship car, and sometimes he wasn't able to get it up there, or when that performance dropped off, he dropped off. Max has always been there, and so that from him has been such an incredible performance to do for the last 21 weeks in a row, to have locked that drivers' championship in pretty much like a top 5 car. Has been very impressive.
Yeah, I think he's really come into his own in the last couple of years. A lot of people were speaking about the car being so good, and you know, it wasn't Max. I think that he proved this year that it was actually him, which is really, really good to see.
Yeah!
He's really grown into it, and he's really performing very well. He had a little bit of a sloppy mid-season. He was making some very aggressive maneuvers that didn't go down so well, but again, I think overall, Lando was great this year, but he made a lot of good errors when ran out of pace for him. So I don't think he learned a lot this year, so I'm just looking forward to next year and see who's going to take that drivers' championship.
Yeah, I don't blame Max for making those aggressive moves. I mean, you can't take the fight out of the soldier,
you have to
right?
fill in,
So even if you're not in the fastest car on the grid, and you're fighting for those wins all the time,
amazing.
when you're battling for 7th, 8th, 9th, and that's the best that the car has to offer for that weekend, you're still going to fire those, you know, outrageous aggressive moves just because that's who you are as a person.
Yeah, I think that's really what steps Max above the rest. You know, I understand he can go over the line maybe a little bit too much, but he wants it. He's not here to come in second place.
He didn't play podium,
he's here
but for
to
a kid,
push and to win, and that's why he came out on top. You know, he just wanted it more than everyone else.
Yeah, and that's sometimes the difference maker. When a driver wants it more than the next guy, that's all it takes. Maybe you might not have that performance, but if you want it bad enough, I mean that goes for any sport, even. When you want it bad enough, you'll have it. Yeah, this is actually one thing you'll see over the weekend while you're here, the helicopter pilots. It's amazing to get these pictures for the weekend. I mean, again, to see it in person is something that you just don't you don't get to see so much. The atmosphere, the excitement, the fan zones that are here over the weekend. I mean, there's some great things to do, and it's a great place to come this weekend, right? Yeah, you think of high flying action, but that's low flying action, isn't it? I mean, coming 50 feet over our head, 20 meters. I mean, that's impressive piloting from him. Now, through this triple right-hander, into turn 15 and 16 to finish the lap. By now, in a Formula 1 car, it's taken around 1 minute and 20 seconds to get to this point here. Actually, closer to 1:15 to get to this point here. That just shows you how fast these cars actually are. Now, we're just going for a cruise. We're getting a really good understanding of the circuit. However, when you're on a qualifying lap around here, it is like nothing else. When you're locked into a car, you're strapped in, the only thing that's moving are your hands and your feet. You're one with the automobile.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling than that. And they get to do that on Friday afternoon, where typically you get 3 practice sessions. You get around 3 hours of practice before you ever have to go for a flyer. But now it's about 60 minutes. And that's why the sprint weekends are so exciting as well, because you get 60 minutes practice and then straight into qualifying and really pushing that car to the limit.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And as well, as we were saying earlier, the Constructors' Championship is so tight. These points that they can gain in the sprint race are going to be so important. Whereas before they might have held back a little bit and not want to damage the car or not want to cause any issues as they go into the main race on Sunday. Now these single points that they can earn really makes a difference. And for the lower teams, that means a bigger budget for next year. So as everything gets divided out at the end of the year, it's very important as to where they finish.
There's no assigned seating, so we're gonna get here pretty early. Let's try and sit. Pick the best
It's
spot.
everything to fight for this weekend and next weekend in Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi. So definitely a round to enjoy, to watch every bit of action that happens on the circuit, because it all has massive implication throughout the next season as well. So as we're coming now to finish the lap around turn 16, apexing around there at 220 kilometers an hour, using all that track limits there on the exit, trying to finish that lap on the right foot forward. Now, coming to the end of the lap, what are you thinking about coming around that last corner? You've seen purple sectors, fastest overall, and you've got 4 corners to go. What's going through your head?
I mean, again, these guys here, they just want to get the most out of the cars. They go purple. If they put in faster sectors, they'll know from the displays on their screens how fast they're going. On their steering wheels, they'll know how fast they're going. So they really want to push it and just try not to make any mistakes. I guess they're coming towards the end of the lap. But as you can see here, you can see Red Bull. They're doing some pit stop practice. You might be able to catch them if you're a Red Bull fan once you get out here.